welcome to You Can Be a Doctor's UCAT preparation course for 2020. In this video, we're going to be covering Situational Judgement, which is the last section of the UCAT and is generally one of the more fulfilling sections for candidates to prepare for. In this section, you're asked to look at scenarios from university or from the hospital and decide what appropriate responses would be, or maybe what important pieces of information you might need to assess a situation. You can see in this example, we're asked to say whether this response is a good thing to do or not, and you might be given a few responses about a scenario. In general, in this section, your answers can get partial marks if they're on the correct side of the coin. So you can see here we have an option to say that it's a very appropriate thing to do or just an appropriate thing to do. In this example, if the correct answer was A, you would still get partial marks for saying B. We'll go through some tips and pitfalls first on how to approach this section, and then we'll go through some exercises. Doing well in situational judgment is all about knowing some of the principles that guide how we work in hospitals, and also just how to make workplaces run smoothly. Now, you might find this a little difficult at first because obviously you haven't spent a huge amount of time in hospitals or studying at university. So you'll need to take your insight from other places. One source that always comes up is a document from the GMC called Good Medical Practice. This is a really short booklet, and it's not completely necessary to read, but it will help you with your decision making, and it's also just good reading in preparation for your interviews in the winter. We've distilled the contents of Good Medical Practice into these points, and we've kind of expanded on them in our student handbook, but you can see them on screen now. In addition to understanding these points, it's also useful to have an understanding of the 4 ethical pillars which govern medicine, and that's beneficence, non-maleficence, autonomy, and justice. Again, that's explained in our handbook. And also just having a basic understanding of how confidentiality is protected in medicine. What won't be covered in Good Medical Practice are some of the workplace rules that will help you. So we've put them on screen now, and again, they're in our handbook. And these will just help to guide your questions that are asking about university or about workplace disputes. And this includes things like addressing problems immediately, never undermining somebody else's work, trying to find a solution with the person who is at fault. But again, these are explored in more detail in the handbook, and we'll put a few of them into practice in the exercises. If you're struggling with a particular question, remember that you can always just go with your gut, because you're probably going to have a good enough insight to be able to tell which side of the coin this situation is or whether a response is good or bad. Some tricks that you can use include thinking if this was publicly visible, so if it was visible on Twitter, would this be a good or bad thing for the medical profession? Or if this happened in front of you, would you feel embarrassed? While these aren't the most rigorous frameworks for working through a scenario, it'll get you to the answer quite quickly if you're strapped for time. Things that might trip you up in this section include not understanding the rating system. You'll be given a series of responses to a particular scenario, and these should be rated individually. So whether one response is better than the other shouldn't influence your answer. All of your answers for a question might be rated as very appropriate. And you should also understand that time doesn't matter for a response. So even though a certain response might not immediately fix a solution, it could still be a very appropriate thing to do. And finally, your answer should be based on what you should do in a situation and not what you might do in real life. This isn't an issue for most questions, but for some scenarios, you might just need to ignore what your gut is telling you to do, and we'll see an example of this. Finally, I've said at the top there that situational judgment is all about getting the right people into medicine. And this is true to a certain extent. The universities use this section of the UCAT to try and find candidates that have got a strong moral framework and are already working in the same tracks that we'll hope we'll use when we're working as doctors. However, don't be disheartened if you find that you're getting questions wrong, and don't feel like you're a bad person or you're not going to be a good doctor, because a lot of these questions just rely on diplomacy, and like I said before, are nuanced decisions that you'll understand as you spend more time in hospitals or at university. We'll go back to our first example, and I want you to first look at the scenario on its own, so ignoring the question, and decide what are the issues in this scenario. So from this short paragraph, we can summarize that there is a student who has been insulted by another student. So there's 2 aspects to the response to this situation. First of all, we need to hopefully try and make the insulted student feel better. But also, we should strive to make sure that this doesn't happen again, maybe by talking to the other student. It's important to remember what the key issues are in a scenario when you're thinking about the best responses to a situation, because the best responses often tackle multiple aspects at once. So looking at this first example question, we need to decide how appropriate it would be to apologize to Marek. This addresses our first aspect of Marek's feelings being hurt, so that means that this is probably going to be a good thing to do. But you should also realize that this doesn't address the other aspect of helping Amy to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So for this particular response, this was deemed to be appropriate but not ideal, because it is a good thing to do, but it doesn't address the full situation. The next response to this situation is to speak to Amy later in the day. Now, this combats our second issue of making sure that this doesn't happen again. And this was deemed to be a very appropriate thing to do, because it would help prevent this from happening in the future. And it's also the correct level of response to this situation. We're having a private conversation with Amy, and it's also taking place some time after the event, so there's been time to calm down. This example also demonstrates the point that I was making earlier about choosing your answers based on what should be done and not based on what you might do in real life. Because you might be somebody who doesn't like confrontations and would not apologize or would not bring this up in front of Amy, or you might be somebody who feels very comfortable standing up for other people and confronting situations like this. However, your responses to these scenarios need to be measured, and they need to be based on what an ideal student or doctor would do. So we'll go into the first exercise. I chose this scenario because it's a relatively common situation that you have probably faced in your life. And I want you to have a look at the scenario and see if you can summarize it. But I also want you to think about what you might do if this happened to you at school versus what you might think the correct answer would be. And then you should have a go at the questions at the bottom with saying how appropriate those responses are. So pause the video now. This scenario revolves around a colleague not pulling their weight. And that's a really common thing in the UCAT and just at university in general. These situations need to be treated with compassion, but you should also avoid going easy on the person and definitely need to avoid jeopardizing patient care. But we'll look at the responses at the bottom. For the first response, I want you to focus on this word here, ask. This is saying asking Daniel if he wants a different role in the group. And that's really good because the word ask is a non-confrontational word. It suggests that you're going to discuss it with him. And so this isn't giving him a different role in the group. This is involving him in a process to hopefully bring him into a more constructive part of the project. So this is likely to be a good thing to do, and this is actually a very appropriate thing to do. For the second response, again, focus on the key words. We can see explain here. Very good word again. As for ask above, this is generally a very good word and just shows that you're wanting to approach the situation constructively. So this is likely to be a good thing to do. And again, this is a very appropriate response to have. You can see the difference then in the third response here where it says without discussion. Now, this is why I wanted you to think about what you would do in this situation if it happened in real life, because I think this third response is what happens the majority of the time. However, this was rated as a very inappropriate thing to do, because if you remember back to our workplace guidelines, you should never undermine the work of a colleague. Remember, you must answer based on what the ideal student or doctor would do. On to the next exercise. This is a slightly different scenario taking place in the hospital. And for this one, you're asked to say how important some pieces of information are. For these questions, you're not being asked what your specific response would be. You're being asked about how much you value different pieces of information when making a decision on how to react. I want you to pause the video and have a go at this question. So this scenario is essentially a patient not following or not agreeing with a doctor's advice. Again, this will come up quite frequently, so it's important to have an understanding of the best ways to respond to this. You should also recognize that this scenario is kind of tackling one of those core ethical principles we talked about, in that it's tackling the patient's autonomy to decide what happens in their care. When a question is coming head on into something as significant as a topic like autonomy, the answers are usually quite clear-cut, and you can get through these questions quickly. So we'll look at the questions below. The first one is asking about Ms. Chopra's entitlement to make decisions about her own health. This is clearly very important, as that follows the principles of autonomy. So the answer for this is A. The next one asks that she should be given information in a respectful way. Again, this agrees with the ways that we would practice medicine, and so A is the correct answer for this one. Finally, we're asked, should she be given enough information to make a decision on her own about whether to become pregnant again. Again, this is a very important aspect of how we treat our patients with care, so this is a very important piece of information to keep in mind when responding to this situation. So you can see all the answers for this question are A. On to the next exercise. This question is the same as the one before, where you're asked to think about how important various pieces of information are. I want you guys to have a look at the passage, think about what is going on in the scenario, and then have a look at these questions and decide how important each piece of information is. So pause the video now. In this scenario, a patient is wanting a treatment that the doctors haven't offered or maybe disagree with. Again, this can come up fairly regularly, so it's useful to know how to respond to this. Point 1 is asking how important it is that the patient is involved with their future care decisions. Again, this refers back to our concept of autonomy. This is a very important piece of information to keep in mind. So the answer to this is A. The next point is asking how important it is to remember that the medical team have used their expertise to come to their decision. This is an important point. However, it's also important to know that the patient is presenting new information that the staff might not have thought about. So just because the staff have come to their decision and they might be very well versed in their field, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't consider new information that's presented to them. You can see that this would be an important thing to consider, but it's not necessarily as significant as is presented in the first question. The final question there asks how important it is that the patient may not fully understand the implications of the treatment they're suggesting. And this would be an important thing to consider, so the answer for this is A. On to the next exercise. As for this exercise, I'm showing you a slightly different question form. But again, it all revolves around being presented with a scenario, and then you need to think about how you would respond to this. This scenario essentially revolves around a patient being offended by a student's comment. For these questions, you're asked to say what would be the most and least appropriate response from a list of 3 possibilities. So you can see it's very similar to the questions we've done previously. Now, frustratingly, this is a question that you might come up against. However, there doesn't seem to be any examples of this on the UCAT website, so you might need to look out for these elsewhere on the online question banks in our handbook. So now that you've seen the whole question, I want you guys to have a go at this. So pause the video now. If you paused the video and had a chance to look at these 3 responses, hopefully you can see that some of them are not as appropriate as others. The first response is to suggest that the student explains a bit more about what she's recommending. Now obviously the patient is really offended, and so this is not a good thing to do. The next response would be to apologize to the patient. Again, this would be an appropriate thing to do because the patient is upset, so this would be a better response than the first one. And then the third response there is to move on to the next patient. This obviously isn't as bad as the first response, but it also doesn't address the fact that the patient is upset. So this would probably be a bad response, but maybe not as bad as the first one. And that means that our least appropriate response would be this first response, to suggest that she explains more, while the most appropriate response from these 3 would be to apologize. So that was just to show you a slight variation of the question type that you might come up against, but remember that the majority are going to follow the same form as the other exercises that we looked at. So to summarize, doing well in situational judgment is all about understanding the ethical principles which govern how we work with patients, but also the unwritten rules which help workplaces to run smoothly. You can understand these rules better by reading the explained answers on question banks, by reading Good Medical Practice, or by reading the distilled rules in our handbook. But remember, if you're strapped for time, going with your gut will usually get you at least partial marks for a question. You should remember that you're answering based on what should be done, and not what would be done if the situation happened in real life. And also remember that each response should be treated on its own, and it shouldn't be assessed on how it compares to the other responses for a scenario. Thanks for watching. I hope that video was helpful. We have videos covering the other sections of the UCAT, so if you're struggling with another section, you can check that out on our website or on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions after watching our videos, you can get in touch with us on our socials, or by sending us an email on the email address shown on screen. But good luck with the rest of your preparation.